Hello there. This is News Channel Nebraska. My name's Eric McKay. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's take a look at our top headlines today. Silent for several days, we're now hearing from the family of one of the two men shot and killed by Omaha police earlier this month. The double deadly police-involved shooting finds initial examinations by police and prosecutors, clearing the officers of any wrongdoing. The next step would be a grand jury investigation, and the family is demanding answers. Joe Jordan has our exclusive report.
That, according to police, 22 gunshots, the first fired into a crowd by the driver, one of two Hispanic men seen climbing into the car just moments earlier, armed with one and only one gun. The next 21 shots, killing the two men, were fired by two off-duty Omaha police officers.
I find this shooting to be within our policy. The county attorney has determined the incident was legally justified.
Yo quiero que la comunidad, las personas.
I want the community to really judge.
That's the aunt of 28-year-old Jonathan Hernandez Rosales, the passenger, the man who didn't have a gun, wondering if her nephew had to die.
Based on the images, whether the actions of the police were fair by firing 21 shots.
Chief Smotter has not specifically said why 21 shots were fired, but has answered a somewhat related question.
How could two people die but only one gun was recovered? The driver's act of leaning over the passenger to fire out of the passenger window gave the distinct impression to Captain Levitt the passenger had a gun.
Questions surrounding the shooting are also being raised by the League of United Latin American Citizens, insisting the Omaha Police Department's blatant attempt to vilify the character of the deceased Latinos is an affront to justice. LULAC demanding a full federal investigation. Jonathan Hernandez's aunt agrees.
Yo pido también a la
I also asked the community that was there and who observed everything, because there were a lot of people, to give the best information of what they witnessed so this can be clarified.
While cleared of any wrongdoing by police and prosecutors, according to state law, a grand jury will investigate. In Omaha, Joe Jordan, News Channel, Nebraska.
Police in Norfolk have taken a man into custody on a charge of attempted murder. The incident happened yesterday when a juvenile called police saying their mother was being attacked. Police say they found 43-year-old Augusto Ramos Umatambo at the scene on top of a woman. Police say they forced their way into the home and detained him. According to the woman, Ramos Umatambo had already assaulted her earlier this month and had threatened to kill her if she went to police. Ramos Umatambo was arrested for criminal attempt of first-degree murder and false imprisonment. Police in Kansas City revealing more details on what may have sparked that deadly mass shooting at a Super Bowl victory celebration. 20 victims were injured. At least one person has died. No arrests reported yet, but authorities have confirmed at least 3 people have been detained, 2 of whom are juveniles. Michael Yoshida has more.
We're starting to hear more stories about the victims in the Super Bowl celebration shooting. One man saying that at first he thought the gunshots were fireworks. It was a short time later he realized he'd been shot in the lower leg. He'd later learn his wife and son had also been shot and injured. This all happening now as the investigation into the deadly violence continues.
This appeared to be a dispute between several people that ended in gunfire.
Kansas City police giving an update on Wednesday's mass shooting during a Super Bowl victory rally for the Chiefs. Many of nearly 24 gunshot victims are children.
At least half of our victims are under the age of 16.
Killed in the gunfire was a popular local DJ, 43-year-old Lisa Lopez Galvin. Dozens gathering Thursday night for a vigil to mourn her loss and stand together in the wake of this tragedy.
It's going to take a long time for a lot of us to understand and heal from this. It's just a tragedy.
People coming together to light candles and say a prayer.
Hold on to hope, lean on one another, and know that a brighter tomorrow awaits.
As friends remember Lopez Galvin, some recall their own terrifying moments running from the gunfire.
All of a sudden, through the partitions, a wave of people come rushing through, screaming, gun, run. Police are coming.
In the chaos that followed, at least one armed suspect was tackled by those in the crowd.
When I hit him from behind, I either jarred the gun out of his hand or out of his sleeve, because as I'm taking him down to the ground, I see the gun on the ground.
I want to thank the people who acted bravely yesterday alongside law enforcement.
Police confirmed they're looking at a number of suspects, and multiple weapons were recovered at the scene. And police say that 2 juveniles are in custody. No charges have been filed yet. Investigators are also saying that bullets and shell casings found in the area around Union Station, those are key pieces of evidence. They're trying to see if they can tie those to those in custody as well as any other potential suspects. In Kansas City reporting, I'm Michael Yoshida.
Water front and center for the Nebraska legislature on Thursday. State lawmakers heard testimony on the safety of the state's drinking water. A hearing focused on whether or not the legislature should try to beef up how the state monitors groundwater wells and who gets that information. The bill LB 1258 aims to further identify and reduce nitrate contamination in groundwater near concentrated animal feeding operations.
You build a new facility today, you are going to have to take samples of that dirt, and it's going to include the current nitrate level. So if Senator Kavanaugh's bill was implemented with a well within some justifiable distance to the feeding operation, you would then unequivocally know whether or not the feeding operation was contributing to higher nitrate levels in that area.
While no one spoke in opposition, some committee members with farming backgrounds suggested that adding well monitors and reporting requirements won't make a difference. In their opinion, they say the high nitrate levels seen in water today are because of the amount of fertilizer used by farmers generations ago. From nitrates to fluoride in the water, a bill by Blair Senator Ben Hansen would put a cap on the amount of fluoride that cities can put in their water. The bill drew support from a Texas-based dentist in a hearing Thursday who said fluoridation should be an informed decision between a patient and practitioner.
Peer-reviewed research and even the CDC now acknowledge that any benefit from fluoride is derived through topical use, toothpaste, mouthwash, and dental treatments.
Elsewhere in the unicameral, fees collected in juvenile court could be on the chopping block in Nebraska. LB 1089 by Senator Wendy DeBoer would do away with court costs, probation fees, drug testing costs, and other incidental fees for kids in the court system.
LB 1089 would ensure that court fees and ancillary costs do not operate as a barrier to youths being rehabilitated and moving forward with their life.
The bill drew some pushback from the State Bar Association, not because they're opposed to eliminating juvenile fees, but because they'd like to ensure that the hole left by removing the fees is filled in another way. Staying in the unicameral, a Southeast Nebraska senator not coming back for another term. Senator Julie Slama announcing on social media Thursday that she's not running for re-election this year. Slama said instead she's going to focus on being a private attorney and a new mom. Slama was first appointed to the unicameral by then-Governor Pete Ricketts to replace Dan Watermeyer, who'd resigned. So far, only Mike Powers of Palmyra has filed to run for the District 1 seat. A Nebraska Community College going full steam on facility modernization projects in the hope to become what the school's president says could be the premier community college in the Midwest. Doug Kennedy has more.
Southeast Community College, with campuses in Milford, Beatrice, and Lincoln, has been using its capital improvements levy, facility naming rights, and other private donations to add new facilities across its footprint. SEC President Dr. Paul Illich says it's one component of helping provide more skilled workers in Nebraska, though it goes beyond the buildings.
What we're talking about is not a building. We're talking about the learning that happens inside the building, and then the life-changing benefits of that learning. We have a lot of students here today, and that's what we're talking about, is really changing the lives of students and giving them the best possible spaces to have these successful careers and to get those benefits. So I think that's really one of the most important messages, is that it's really about the learning that happens in those buildings.
SEC has been conducting what's called the Empower campaign, and so far has raised about $22 million toward a goal of $50 million in private support. In recent years, Nebraska community colleges were seeing declines in enrollment as higher education institutions competed for a smaller pool of high school graduates, but that tide could be turning in some cases. Illich said SEC is starting to see some of its best student numbers in years.
We've grown over 50% on our Milford campus, where we have all of our heavy technology programs, or a lot of our heavy tech. We've also grown recently in Beatrice. This spring, we just grew 13%. We had a 13% increase in our enrollment. It's preliminary that we've added 1,100 students. It's one of the largest enrollments we've seen in a decade.
Illich spoke at the Beatrice campus, which has plans to expand its agriculture program. From Beatrice, Doug Kennedy, News Channel, Nebraska.
Well, if you filled up your gas tank this week, you probably noticed it cost you a bit more. The price of a gallon of gas in Nebraska went up 12 cents over the past week. It's now at an average of $2.95. May come as a bit of a shock since prices haven't moved more than a few cents over the past few months. The good news is the reason behind the rise should only be temporary. Highly influencing prices right now is the shutdown of a massive BP refinery in Indiana. It's been offline for more than 2 weeks because of a power outage. That should be fixed soon, then gas prices will likely go back to moving at a more predictable pace. A program in central Nebraska is looking for immigrant participants who want to learn more about the city in which they live. Elevate Grand Island was founded 2 years ago. Its purpose? To educate and connect participants to the different services, nonprofits, and businesses in Grand Island. Through the connections, the group says they hope to foster a sense of belonging. Community Engagement Coordinator Jocelyn Reyna says it's a unique opportunity.
I think it's important to be able to bridge that gap between the immigrant community and the community that has lived here and has grown up here. We are hoping that people find more resources in Grand Island, but they also get connected with other participants in the group.
The program is targeting new Grand Island residents and English learners. Participants meet for 3 hours each week for 7 weeks and are paid a $500 stipend to offset personal expenses. Graduates of the program are eligible for a $1,000 professional development scholarship. Applications for the program are due by February 26th. In sports, a season that just started already ending for one junior college. North Platte Community College announced Thursday it's canceling the rest of its softball season. That announcement came a few days after the college announced that coach Janelle Higgins was no longer with the team after 12 years. NPCC finishes their season officially 0-3. They ended up dropping 23 games from their schedule. And semifinals take center stage, or rather the center mat, on day 2 of the state wrestling tournament Friday in Omaha. A familiar face on top in Class A, 5-time returning champ Millard South, comfortably ahead of Millard West after day 1. The Patriots saw 9 wrestlers advance to the semifinals. Grand Island appears to be the team to beat on the girls' side. They hold a 62-39 lead over Omaha West side and have one more semifinalist than the Warriors do on Friday. Class B likely to be tightly contested. Waverly leads defending champ Omaha Scott by just a half point, with Bennington lingering in third, just 6.5 points back. Battle Creek looking to jump from 5th in Class C last year to 1st this year. The Braves have 4 wrestlers in the semifinals Friday and lead Amherst by 15 points. The Braves have never won a team title. In Class D, defending champ Aquinas Catholic out in front with 47 points, followed by Plainview with 36. You can stay up to date with the very latest by following us online. Head to newschannelnebraska.com. Click on the News tab there. You can also follow us on X, like us on Facebook and Instagram as well. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day. You're watching News Channel Nebraska.